Welcome to the On Point Podcast, a channel dedicated to helping you be the best hunter you can be. On Point is designed to help motivate and inspire you to get more out of yourself and your gear during your next hunt. If you're looking for information that will directly impact your success and help inspire you to go on new adventures, whether you're hunting with a bow or a rifle, On Point is the channel for you. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast where I'm talking gear priorities for the day hunter. So what am I taking on my, most of my hunts are day hunts. I don't do the 5 to 7 day backpack hunts yet. So my wheelhouse is really hunting as far as I can and then coming back every day back to camp. And so that takes, food, water, some other things. We go over what's a priority gear, what do I really, really want or need versus what's some convenience items that I can go without and help save some weight. So this is an area that really hasn't been touched on, I don't think, as much as the area of going back in and living off of your back in the wilderness for 5 to 7 days. The day hunting aspect really hasn't been talked about that much. So we talk about how to do it for elk, what we carry on ourselves, what we consider priorities, and there's some really cool similarities between me and Anthony. And then I had, me being a gear guy, I had a few more convenience items that I'm willing to pack around with me. And then really we just talk about all that kind of stuff. So for guys that are wanting to learn what to take with them, say into the elk woods, and they're hiking in and they're coming back out every day, this is going to be a great episode for you. You could use this for mule deer, for whatever you're doing. If you're going out and you're hiking, what do you need? And we're going to do it from guys that are hunting timber, from guys that are maybe having maybe more of a glassing option. So hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a great time recording it with Anthony, and I will see you guys at the end. Bye. So let's get this thing going. I'm joined with Team Dirty Trad. We just call you Dirty Trad.
Yeah, I'm
you're a one-man wolf pack still.
Yeah, one day it'll change.
One day. Well, Austin said he's getting into it apparently.
Yeah, he's been talking to me a little bit, but
we're talking about Austin Kincaid from the High Voltage Bowstrings, who does my strings and Anthony's strings, and good guy, but he's a compound guy getting into the trad game.
A little bit, it sounds like. So he just got one. I guess one of his buddies makes bows, so he just got it. And
oh, really?
Yeah, he's been asking me some questions, but it's hard to get on the phone with him for more than 10 minutes, even if he wants to call you, because he's like, I got to go, I got to work.
Busy guy.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, see ya.
People are actually getting a hold of you for advice now.
Yeah, they must be desperate.
Right. Well, you got to get your information from somewhere. Why not you?
Yeah, well, I've gone through a lot of trial and error. So.
Yeah. Well, today I called you over here because I'm like, dude, we got to do a podcast on priorities of gear. What's a must-have? What is a convenience item? And kind of go over, I guess, our ordered list of priorities for gear. And I wanted to make it a little fun, so you kind of know what's on my list. I have no idea what's on your list. I couldn't even know if I wanted to because your handwriting sucks so bad.
I don't even know if I can read this.
So if you mispronounce some words, we're just going to say it's because of your horrible handwriting. You're actually not far off from my handwriting. My handwriting's not very good either. But so let's just create a scenario, because there's going to be a difference between a guy hunting a tree stand in Pennsylvania versus what we're doing, hiking in after elk. We're not going to do a BV hunt style. We're not going to do a backcountry, stay for 7 days hunt. I want to, because that's not my wheelhouse. I want to do stuff that we do where we go in maybe 3-4 miles, 5 miles, come back out. So, you're talking, a 6 to 10 mile trip or more.
Yeah.
And we're going for elk. So it could be timbered terrain, it could be old burns, it could be really steep, flat, anywhere in between. And it's wilderness. So what would be some things that I would take, and what would be some things that you would take? And I'm really actually kind of curious to see how they contrast. I'm sure there's going to be some similarities because we've hunted together, so I know what you bring. But I know I was so proud of myself coming up with some of the things. I'm like, Anthony's not going to have this on his list.
They're probably there. So.
You're just gonna scribble them down as soon as I say anything. Oh,
No,
yeah,
I left.
that's
a
a
pin.
good one.
Here we go.
Did you number yours by chance?
No, but they're somewhat written in order. So pretty much what I have written down is things that I'm not gonna go without.
Okay.
So
Priority.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about my bow or arrows. Well, that's pretty much about the only thing I left out, because obviously you're going with a bow,
right?
So, or a rifle or whatever you're hunting with. So
I'm going with a compound. You're going with a freaking stick bow.
Yeah, stick with some string.
So if I'm preaching, oh, you need this bow or that bow, well, then you're like, dude, I'm out there with a wooden stick.
Yeah.
And a string.
No, it's a soulless bow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, aluminum riser.
You son of a gun.
Yeah.
That's blasphemy in the
Yeah,
trad
it's
world,
soulless. Pretty much, yeah. But it shoots good, so.
Oh, so let's just hit on the bow aspect real quick, because we started talking about it downstairs, and I really think there's room to expand on that. I'm a gear guy. I love shooting pro line bows, the nicest bows out every year. I'm one of the guys that buys them because I just love the feel of a new bow. I love experiencing new bows. It's just really fun. I mean, just to see what new technology they come out with, or what new features they come out with, or how much better they can make a bow shoot every year. I love that. That's something that I'm willing to spend my money on. Is that a necessary? Absolutely not. I mean, like I was saying, give me a Diamond Infinite Edge, and I'll go out there and I'll still get the same opportunities as I would with my RX-1 Turbo. My effective range may not be as far, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it comes into you using your stick bow. Well, dude, my effective range would be, really far compared to a stick bow. What's your effective range with the...
I would say what I'm gonna be doing, it's pretty much 30 and in.
30 and in. Yeah.
And even that, it's gonna have to be good conditions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I say 30 because 30 is my point on. So I mean, I can just hammer arrows in at 30 yards, but I'm literally aiming the bow.
Right.
And then anything below is super effective. Now I can go out to the range, and I was shooting last week. At the range, and I was piling them in there at 50 with the same bow. Now, would I ever shoot that? No. But it's the same theory of with a compound, guy shooting 100 to make 50 feel better. Well, it's the same thing. I'm shooting 50, and then I go back to 20, and it's just a slam dunk is what it feels like. So,
right.
Same thing.
So it's really not about the bow. I would say it's probably more about what you're sending downrange than what you're using to send it.
Yeah.
I would focus more on the shooter and what's actually impacting the animal more than what's sending it there. But we've already done a broadhead episode, an arrow episode, so I don't want to get back into that. But it's really not about the bow. It's more about the shooter. It's not about really about the arrow. I mean, the specs of what you build your arrow to, I think, is really what it matters. Having a good arrow, yeah, that matters. But you can really make an arrow into what you want. You can add point weight. You can add this broadhead. You could put this fletching on it. You can really customize your arrows so much where, to me, it doesn't really... I mean, I use the same arrows. I've been using them for a long time, over 10 years. And I always shoot Easton axis. Never shot anything else. Never needed every time I do move away from an Easton, I come back to an Easton axis.
Yeah, I shot them for a long time. I just have ventured away from them.
You play around with arrows more than I do.
Well, a lot of that came in with the recurve thing, because you have to tune the arrow to the bow. You can't tune the bow other than brace height and your knock set. But so I've played around with a ton of arrows, but I've just kind of landed where I'm at now. And then I mean, I think they all would. Every arrow that tuned out of that bow would get the same job done.
Right.
But this is just where I've landed at now. So.
Well, I got my list ready. You can hear it in my hand. I'm flicking it with my finger. I'm going to go over... Actually, why don't you go over your first one real quick?
Scared?
I got mine ordered, the first top 7.
Oh, okay, so mine aren't, like I said, not necessarily ordered.
Mm-hmm.
These are just things I'm going with.
Okay.
Like I'm not leaving without them.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I put on is boots. So I've learned this lesson the hard way with cheap boots.
Me too.
Once your feet are done, you're done. I mean,
Right.
We planned. So when I learned this lesson, I was probably like 18, 19. And we made our first, I guess you call it like a bonsai trip to Eastern Oregon. We went over there and we hunted, long ways from the pickup and stuff. And I think we were there for 4 days. And by the second day, by the end, because I had cheap boots, like hand-me-downs that were bought used. I mean, they were just not good boots. My feet were so done that every step hurt.
Really?
So I was pretty much done hunting. I mean, I was still there, but I wasn't moving very fast. So boots have always been a priority for me now. But like I said, lesson learned the hard way. So
boots were my number one thing too. And I go back to, and if Mitch was here, he would tell you, I did complain quite a bit because my feet hurt bad, but I didn't stop hunting. But I couldn't get where I wanted to go as quick as I wanted. I just didn't hunt as hard as I could have if my feet were 100%. Because I went on a bighorn sheep hunt when my brother drew his tag. And really nasty terrain up there on Hart Mountain, like extremely nasty terrain when you're hunting that like Warner area, the Warner Peak or whatever they call it. And after like 2 days of doing that, running up and down the hills because I was trying to get good shots because I was filming it and everything. And my feet were literally disgusting. They were like hamburger by the time we even went to go hit the elk woods, because right from the Bighorn camp we went straight to go elk hunting, and we were hunting nasty wilderness stuff, really really steep stuff, and I'm like, man, my freaking feet are killing me. And then finally when I took off my boots, Mitch is like, holy crap, that's bad. Like, now I see why you're complaining every freaking 10 steps. And we got where we wanted to go, but it took me longer to get there. I was just not hunting as hard as I could have been, and just nearly wasn't enjoyable. It sucks walking on like no skin.
Yeah, blisters and stuff.
Yeah, that just takes the whole fun out of it. Let alone if you kill an elk, that would really suck. So boots were my number one thing. I've been using Georgia boots for many years, and those things suck. I mean, I go through a pair a year wearing those things. I used to fight fire in them, 10 years ago, and they'd last me like 2 or 3 years, and then I bought another pair, and then since then, I just can't get more than a year out of them. And granted, I wear them almost every day, but I'm not sure what happened. Either I started walking like an idiot, or they changed some sort of quality material. But the Georgia boots, and they're not made for what we're doing. I mean, really, they're not. But
no,
they're like $150 brand new, $100 brand new, and they're garbage. So I switched to Crispy. Literally, probably it's been a 1 year anniversary with Crispy using them, and they're starting to fall apart on me. I like Crispy. I mean, the most comfortable boot I've ever wore, but they're just not holding up. Granted, I almost wear them almost every day, so I don't know if that's realistic expectations, but I figured they'd last longer than a year. I'm tempted to buy another pair of Crispies before elk season this year.
So I've been running Solomon's for probably 5 or 6 years, and I'm just now on my second pair. And the first pair wasn't even, the sole and everything was still fine, but the lace, I guess the eyelets.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're riveted in, and one of them popped out, and it can't be fixed. So they warranted them, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and they were, I want to say almost 3 years old.
Huh.
But they sent me a new pair, so that's just my second pair. Like I said, the first ones are still fine. It just a lace problem. So
that's not bad.
No, and my feet have never hurt in those things.
Really?
And I've hunted all sorts of different terrain. So I've never had a blister. I've never had anything. So, but they're definitely an early season boot. They're not, there's like mid tops, and they're pretty light. They're waterproof, but I think if you were to go try to wear them where you're going to be in snow all day, you would not have fun.
Really?
Yeah, so they're definitely an early season boot. Now I use them during late season around here, but that's just rain and stuff like that. And like I said, they're waterproof, so as long as they're not constantly soaked, you're fine. But I wouldn't wear them.
I went with I think it was a 6-inch, and it was definitely a 6-inch Nevada, I think, is the model of the Crispy. But I roll my ankles, like, if I don't have that ankle support, I roll them so freaking easy. Like, I roll them. I wish Mitch was here, because he'd tell you, yeah, he walks like an idiot, and he rolls his ankle about every 10 steps. So, actually, didn't you and you? I think you noticed that last year because you were walking with me. We were stalking some elk in the timber, and I can't forget if it was you that made that comment or not. But you're like, dude, what's wrong? So boots is that's funny. That's number one on both of our lists. Number two, I have pack.
So that's on my list. It's a little further down than number two. My number two is clothing, and I'm not talking about any specific brand because I don't really want to just talk about one brand.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say just whatever you can afford that's not cotton or your grandpa's blue jeans.
Right.
So, again, learn this lesson the hard way. So I was wearing ASAP back when they still just made like heavy cotton clothing, pretty much like wearing blue jeans with a pattern on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't terrible, I guess, but the guy I was hunting with, he bought a better higher end brand of clothing. And he kept telling me, well, you got to start wearing this stuff and it's expensive. So I was like, go. So he finally got a second pair of this clothing,
Mm-hmm.
which is a top and a bottom, and we're about the same size. So it was the following year. He was still trying to talk me into it. It's so much better. You have to do it. And I'm like, I don't, it's a lot of money. Well, he had the second pair, so he said, just throw these on and hunt for, we were there for like 3-4 days again. He was just hunting these.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of that trip, I was 100% a believer.
And this was what brand?
So this was First Light.
First Light. Okay.
Yep. So it's just, you're still going to be hot. You're still going to be sweaty. You're still going to get tired. But you're as comfortable as you can be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I put clothing as number two. So you're taking care of your feet. And then if your body can be as comfortable as it can be, you're going to be able to go, I think this is their motto, but, further and longer.
Yeah.
Because if your body starts falling apart on you, then it's pretty much just a matter of time before you slow down. And that's why I also have on here, it goes under clothing, that's why I'm going to mention it now,
Mm-hmm.
is underwear and socks.
Well, that counts, yeah.
Yeah, so underwear, I wear their Core 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Because if you just wear, for me anyways, maybe not everybody, for me, if I just wear like Hanes, just your regular everyday underwear,
Mm-hmm.
it chafes so bad that you get, same thing, super uncomfortable and walking hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So I started buying those Core 4s, and I think they're like $25 a pair.
Mm-hmm.
That problem went away. So, and then socks, I just wear wool socks, but I'll carry a second pair with me. So.
Well, I have clothing up there too, and I'm not afraid to mention brands because I'll wear anything. You can see I've got Killick, Sitka, Predator Camo, ASAT, and First Light right there in the closet.
Yeah, I used to just buy Sitka, or it's not Sitka, sorry, First Light. But now I have some Sitka. I have the Predator's new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some Killick also. And then my rain gear is Nomad.
Okay.
That's what my rain gear is, and I was really happy with that stuff last year. So, yeah, I'm not partial to one brand. So I'm not, saying, oh, you have to wear First Light, otherwise your hunt's over.
I'm not either. I do really like the ASAT pattern. That's my favorite pattern.
Yeah.
I just, that and Predator Camo, I grew up using that stuff. And if ASAT had the First Light material, I'd be using ASAT still. But I really like the First Light material or the Sitka material, that merino wool and stuff like that. I will say that it doesn't hold up very well if you don't have the right clothing for the environment that you're in. So I went through 2 pairs of Obsidian pants at the Oregon coast within 2 weeks. I mean, they fell apart. And then I found out later, after I kind of rose a stink about it, that I needed the corrugates, and they're stronger. They don't pull apart as easy. They're more scratch and tear resistant than the Obsidians are. And those have been a great pant for over on the coast, but they were a little bit thicker, a little bit tougher. That's the only really negative thing is from First Light, from my experience, is the pants really aren't durable. Never had any issues with the shirts or anything else. But also, I was using the wrong pant for the environment I was in. You get the pricklies and the blackberries and the Devil's Club and all that stuff. They'll fall apart on you.
Yeah, I mean, I've torn a bunch of stuff at First Light.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's not their fault. Some of it I felt like it could have been tougher. But at the same time, you get something that's light and breathable.
You're going to give
durability is probably going to
yeah.
not be like a set of Carhartts.
Yeah, well, that's why I started. I really do like the Predator camo, but it's like it's a pair of jeans with really is.
Well, now their newer stuff, I bought some of their newer stuff for the Coast Range.
Yeah.
Because I got tired of the same thing. I'd go out, and in 2 days I'd rip $600 worth of clothing. I got tired of it, so I went. Their Predator's new stuff is better,
mm-hmm.
and it's not just like a cotton pant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also I bought a shirt, a jacket, and a set of pants for like $180.
Really?
Yeah. So if it gets ripped, I don't really care. I'm not going to go rip it on purpose. But where before, like last year, packing my dad's elk out, I slipped and a part of a root wad hit me in the shoulder, not even very hard, and it ripped through 2 shirts.
Really?
Well, it was a quarter zip hooded and then a T-shirt. So that's what?
$1 million?
Yeah, it's like $220 worth of clothing. And I'm just like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Start
and it's
crying.
a big tear. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that's awesome.
Thank God for grandmas that can sew.
Yeah.
My grandma sewed my big old L on my butt cheek, on my obsidian pants. And then the Killick, it's not, I wouldn't call it high performance, kind of like a mid-level.
Yeah, it's
but
still,
I've heard their customer service is non-existent.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Because it's a big chain store company.
I was talking to a guy that had some stuff go wrong with it, and he's like, I can't even get a hold of anybody. Like, I can't. He's like, well, because I asked him how their customer service was. He's like, what customer service?
Yeah, so I tried Sitka last year for the first time, and I ripped it on like day 2, but same thing. It wasn't the clothes' fault.
Well, I've had plenty of Sitka shirts and stuff like that, and that jacket right there, that Optifade, and that thing is 5 or 6 years old, and that thing is still going strong. The sleeve you can see unseamed on the collar of the sleeve, but really great jacket, and I've never had a problem with it. I've killed nice antelope in it and some other stuff over in Eastern Oregon. That's usually where I wear that's over in Eastern Oregon. But so I totally agree that clothing wasn't my number 2. It very well could have been. But man, if you're going cheap on that stuff, let's just pretend you get wet, you trip in a creek, you're wearing cotton, whatever, you're up at 8,000 feet and a storm blows in, you're screwed.
Yeah. So, and that's another huge part of it is, okay, so you're more comfortable, but it recovers faster. So, and I have a perfect story for what you just said. So, we were hunting that late season cow hunt over on the coast. It was me and Chase, and we went over there for the weekend, and it was one of those cold snaps a few years back where we're on the coast and it's in the single digits. Really weird for the coast, but that's what it was. So we got over there. It's cold anyways. But anyways, we make this big hunt, and we get down towards the creek, and we're having to cross the creek. It was more like a small river just because it's December, that time of year. And we're about 1.5 miles or 2 miles from the camp. We hunted straight out of camp. And we go to cross the creek, and we're going up the embankment on the other side, and I'm right in front of him, and he starts slipping, and it was like slow motion. I reached for him to grab him because he started going like straight backwards, and I missed, and he fell in the creek. And when I say fell in the creek, it was like a pool. All I could see once he was in the water was his fletchings of his bow, like struggling to get back to the surface. And he comes flinging out of there. So he's completely submerged in water, and we're in single digits.
That would suck.
And he gets out, and he starts talking about his bow. You think it's okay? It was just submerged. I'm thinking, when's this going to hit? Because it's freezing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see the look on his face, and he's like, oh my God, I'm cold. And I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. So we start just booking it back to camp because, it's a serious situation.
Yeah.
You're soaking wet, and it's in the single digits, and we're tent camping, so we couldn't just go back to the trailer and warm up real quick. So we start booking it. By the time he got back to camp, He's still freezing, but his clothes were almost dry, completely dry. If you'd have done that, and I'm going to use Carhartts again.
Carhartts.
You know, you'd be, first off, it'd probably be hard to move because you're going to be so watered and weighted down, and then they're going to start bunching up on you. So that was another eye-opener for me, was how much better this stuff is. It's like, I mean, like I said, he was almost dry. So had we been 20 miles from camp, that could have made the difference of dying or living. You know, I mean, and of course we made a fire and everything, a really big fire. That's a funny story on itself. But
well, I want to go over the camo patterns, because I honestly do believe there is a benefit to using certain camo patterns. I do believe that. But I also believe a cool camo pattern sells better than, you know, because I'll be straight up. I've killed so many deer in blue jeans and in a whatever color shirt that.
First deer I killed with a bow, I was wearing a black T-shirt.
Yeah. We were over mule deer hunting, and Mitch killed a really nice 3-point in a white, like, under tee, like a white Hanes tee in blue jeans. He stood out like a freaking sore thumb. We ended up shooting a buck during rifle season. I missed him like a million times, but Mitch shot him every time he shot, because he's actually decent with a gun. It's 60 yards. Honestly, I believe that a lot of the camo patterns, and this is just my personal belief, and I'm probably not making any friends in the camo industry right now. I think it's more for marketing than it is for the animal. And I'm more worried if I could buy cheaper performance gear that didn't even, like, for example, the color of firefighting pants, that green Nomex, that stuff blends in so well. Like when we used to fight fire, you could do, a lot of times you just see the yellow of the person, but you couldn't hardly see the bottom.
So they don't. So from everything I've read, elk and deer don't see color necessarily. So, you know, guys will, I'm going to be hunting in the desert, I need to buy something more brown. Well, that's not necessarily true, because you could wear Predator, which is all green, and to them you're going to pretty much disappear. I mean, the color thing, okay, maybe, but it's
breaking
the pattern.
up your outline.
Yep.
And I think ASAT really does a good job of that. It really does a great job of breaking up your and if you talk to somebody like South Cox, he also wears one of those full ghillie hats or whatever, like, it helps break up his outline. So, I mean, there's a lot of marketing that goes into camo, and I'm sure some of it is legit, but I think probably 90% of it is consumer more than the animal.
I don't know if you've ever seen the test photos. So ASAT did a bunch of test photos. I think it's on their website. And they did it like I guess the camera took the pictures like how a deer would see. Like the colors that they actually see. And they set this person out at certain distances and certain things. In that ASAT pattern, they kind of disappeared. Where you take something, we'll say mossy oak, which goes back to appealing to the customer, and it's just like this big black blob. Yeah. It did not break them up at all. Yeah. So,
well, moving on from that, I want to quote Fred Bear, who said, "Stillness is your best camo." And I always go back to Jurassic Park. I'm such a huge dork. I go back to Jurassic Park when that one dude has the kids and their SUV's upside down, and he's like, "Just stand still." You know, I'm like, that's just like hunting an elk. And that T-Rex is like looking at him, can't see him. Well, stillness is your best camo, and I still believe that because I've called bulls.
I won't look at him.
Yeah, don't look at him. I believe in that.
I don't know if there's any science to that, but if I am under 50 yards and they're looking at me, I will look at the ground. I won't. I refuse to make eye contact with them.
If I can see the whites or start making out definitions in their eyes, I think that's way too close. But like 50 yards, I'll look at them. But I also think that
now if they're looking at me, I just kind of like.
Well, you get that feeling on the back of your neck that something's watching you when you're out in the woods. Maybe that's what's going on. I mean, why?
I think what it is too is, I don't do it anymore, and I'm gonna go back to it because it's stupid not to. Painting your face.
Never done that.
See, so you spend all this money on camo, but then your face is just out there.
Yeah, I'm too good looking to do that.
Some would argue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you go, I just listened to one with Aaron Snyder. He said the same thing. You spend all this money. He goes, but if you're out in the woods and you're looking for a deer, if you see part of its leg, it doesn't really stand out to you. But if you see that buck's face, you instantly know what you're looking at.
Right.
It's the same thing.
That's a good point.
So, and I used to not face, put.
What about face masks? Like the
You could use those.
neck shroud over the.
It would be the same thing, but what I don't like about those is if you're wearing it for more than a minute, it starts getting hot, and then if it covers your mouth or your nose, you start getting condensation buildup.
Yeah.
So
They are nice for the skeeters, though. I wear a neck shroud a lot of times just to keep the skeeters off my neck and my ears and stuff.
yeah, I mean, look at my legs.
Yeah.
You end up like me.
Yeah, look like you got shot by a shotgun.
Yeah.
So that is that's a really good one, but I don't think that was my number 2. My number 2 was pack. I've been using Cabela's that bow rifle pack for 5 or 6 years, and I was like, I loved it. My shoulders would hurt after a pack, and I just thought that was normal. Never really knew how to set up a pack, but I could carry my bow, I could carry my rifle, I could carry everything I needed, and pack out a blacktail all in my pack. Be done with it. I packed literally whole blacktails quartered out in my pack plenty of times. And finally, I started seeing all these guys using the higher end, the Kafaru or the EXO, or whatever you want to go there, the higher end packs. I'm like, there's got to be something to it outside of just looking cool and having the nicest gear. But the $650 pill to swallow was like, yeah, I don't know about that. Well, finally, I pulled the trigger on the EXO, the K2 5500. I think that's what it's called. And game changer for me. And that's why it's number 2, is because not only could I pack more, but I feel like I could pack twice as much, or what I was packing in my old pack and putting it in my new pack, it felt like it was twice as light. Like it was half as much weight.
Yeah.
And my shoulders were never hurting after packs. I could do everything I wanted. The pack will outpack me. I can't pack. I mean, I literally, Mitch took my pack. I took his. And there had to be I think did you wear it for a second? There had to be 180, 200 pounds in that pack.
You guys hosed me on that pack out. That's all I'm going to say. So let me run through that real quick. We completely deboned this bull, Mitch's bull.
Yeah.
We did the whole first half.
Yeah. I was quartering it out. I was quartermaster.
And I'm looking around, and I'm like, where'd all those meat bags go? They shoved an entire half an elk in my pack. And then 3 people split the other half and a head.
Yeah. Mitch took the head. And I had, in my pack, there was at least 180 pounds. I mean, there was a lot of weight. You must have got the shoulders.
I got both. I got the front and rear quarter on that one side and the back strap.
Okay.
Hosed me. So.
Well, Shelby didn't pack anything, did she?
She packed, I think, the other back strap, the tenderloins, and then all the camera gear and stuff.
Okay, yeah. And then between me and Mitch, I mean, my EXO, I loaded that thing full thinking, because we were only, I don't know, we were pretty close to the truck.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It was an easy pack, but man, that I could barely stand up. And then eventually I ended up just switching Mitch. It was like, why am I killing myself over such a short pack? Like, it didn't make sense. But that pack literally I put that thing to the ringer. I've had more weight in that pack than probably what should have been in there. I'm not nice to my gear. Last thing I want to worry about when I'm out in the woods is my gear. I just use it. I don't worry about how hard I'm being on it, really. If I don't want to damage it, obviously, but I'll drag my bow on the ground with me when I'm stalking an animal or whatever it may be. Well, I loaded that thing freaking down as heavy as I could, and it's still just as nice as it was when it was brand new. I will say that it's a little bit louder material. Whatever material they use on that, it's a little loud, but I think I'd go with the 3500 just because I don't need the 5500, and it's just more than what I could pack.
Yeah, so I'm running the Eberly stock Blue Widow, and I think it's like a 53.
Yeah.
So, or 53 or 52, one of the two. It's right. It doesn't say on it, but I've looked it up. It's like it's right in there somewhere.
We joke around that yours is like super heavy.
Yeah, so
I have to hold mine down because it would float away.
Yeah, so I've had mine 6 or 7 years. And so here's my theory with that. Okay, on packs in the same size, it's probably the heaviest.
Yeah.
When you're talking about like XO, Kafaru, Kuyu, any of the higher end packs, it's probably the heaviest. But so yours weighs 6, mine weighs 7. You put 120 pounds of meat on your back. Are you going to be like, oh, no, this one weighs 121?
This Eberly stock is heavy.
Yeah, no, heavy's heavy, Now, if it weighed 15 pounds, that'd be different.
Ridiculous.
But it's like a pound and a half. It's
And
not.
How long have you had that pack?
At least 6 years, I
And
bet.
it's still working great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think I hauled out like 4 or 5 animals with just last year.
What was the price point on that thing?
So you had to buy it's called like a butt bucket. It's just for your bow. It's the like pouch on the bottom to carry bow. With that, I think I paid like $550.
Okay, so you're up there almost with the Exos and the Kafars.
Yeah, and that was like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
So
you pay for what you get in packs. I honestly believe that. Would you ever go back to a cheap pack after having an expensive one? No,
never,
no
ever.
way in hell. No, and you could not pay me enough. That pack will last many, many years. That Exo will, and I think you're going to get the same quality with Cafaro and your Eberly stock, Stone Glacier, Metcalf, all these popular companies that I've never used Cafaro, Metcalf, or Stone Glacier guys. I don't have any experience with them, but Anthony and I's pack, I've seen those in action, and they're great.
Yeah,
they're
I've
fine.
never had a problem with it. It just, well, like I said, I packed out half an elk, and then I did that twice last year with that pack.
Yeah.
I packed out that Roosevelt with it too, and that was horrible. But
that's a lot of meat. And
it wasn't because of the pack wasn't comfortable. It's because it was insanely steep, and I had literally half an elk on my back.
Yeah.
And I was hurting the next day.
Yeah.
But
and there's a story behind that too.
Oh my goodness.
So,
the best, worst day of hunting I've had in a long time.
So that involved the tow truck, guys. Maybe we'll talk about that one later. But so we've got boots, pack, clothing, pretty much in that order, somewhere around that. Maybe clothing number 2. What's your number 4?
So,
Gotta scratch them out as you go.
That's where it gets. Like I said, my list is just stuff that I'm not going without.
I know. I know what mine is.
So, I would have to say next, like if I had to pick, would probably be a rangefinder.
Yes, that's what mine is.
And that's even kind of, like I was telling you downstairs. Even shooting a stick bow, my accuracy is so much better knowing where I'm actually standing. And then, obviously, if you're like from here to the wall, who cares? But it's just, it makes such a difference. If I think that deer's at 25 and I shoot it for 25, but really he was 32, okay, my judging wasn't very far off, but that's a miss compared to a hit, or even worse, wounding it. So I would say rangefinder. So
same here, because I've missed so many animals because I didn't range or have a rangefinder or take the time to range it, that it's almost to the point where I might as well just not even bring arrows on my release. Like my mental rangefinder is so broken, and yeah, I mean one of the only shoots I've ever got top 2 in, it was unmarked, but literally every target I was like, that's 30. No, that's 35. And you're like, dude, stop adding yardage. Like, usually you're right. My gut was right, but I kept adding that extra yardage and just second guessing myself, causing me to miss shots, causing me to lose confidence. It was just a slippery slope. But long story short, and I don't know how I won that one. Like, I got second place and I shot decent, but I mean,
nobody was there.
No one was there. Yeah, there must have been like 5 shooters that day. But I will honestly say that a rangefinder has played such a huge success in my putting meat in the freezer that it's up there with a pack. I mean, and having a rangefinder with a angle compensation. Mine has rifle and bow. I would not suggest my rangefinder because originally I had it was a Bushnell GX or G-Force or GX Force or whatever it was called. It's like a $440 rangefinder, right? The first one I had, it was awesome. Got stolen. Forgot it in my truck. Didn't lock my truck. Well, I'm like, I love that rangefinder. It's quick. It goes all the way out to like 1,200 yards or something like that, and it works for both my rifle and my bow. I want that rangefinder again. So I bought 2 since then of the exact, and neither of them can hold anything compared to that first rangefinder. Same exact model, everything. So 2 out of 3 of that rangefinder have absolutely sucked. Like, I can't range 3D targets because it won't range 3D targets half the time. It's driving me insane. So I'd probably go to like a Sig Kilo 2000.
So Yeah, I went to SIG this year.
You did?
Yep. And I came from the Vortex one.
Vortex was a horrible rangefinder.
It is so slow. So
and it doesn't show you what you're shooting until you shoot it.
yeah. So I mean, I'm a huge Vortex fan. I have
Me
rifle
too.
scopes. That's what I use for a spotting scope, binos.
I would not
Their
buy the
rangefinder was horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the new one's any better.
I hope so.
I've never played with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought that and just in good confidence, I guess. It was horrible. It did better in fog than my previous one, but it just is so slow. And it's supposed to be a 1,000-yard rangefinder, and anything past, well, it depended on what it was. So that bear this spring,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even range it. It was only a little over 500 yards.
Yeah.
But because it was a black object at 500, it would not. It just flat out would not give me a reading. So what good is a rangefinder if it won't even work?
Yeah.
So I went to that SIG, and that thing will range 800 yards faster than my Vortex would range 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is just as fast as you push the button.
It's got good glass, everything.
So I bought one for me and one for Shelby, and no regrets so far.
And it does compensations.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's a must-have for a bow hunter. I mean, we hunt Oregon where a lot of it's steep. You really need those angle adjustments. I used it on my hunt recently, in April. I use it literally every year. I used it on that buck I shot last year. I actually shot that elk last year on flat ground, so I didn't need it there. But more times than not, I'm using angle adjustments when I'm shooting stuff. And it's gotten to the point now where I pretty much can tell you what the rangefinder is going to say for angle cuts and stuff like that. But the
usually it's not drastic.
No, it's not. It's just 3 or 4 yards if it's a bad cut or pretty far. But, rangefinders played a huge role. And the SIG Kilo's got good glass. It's really clear. It's pretty small and light. I mean, it's a great all-around rangefinder, and it's long enough for you to use it for rifle season too.
Yeah.
So what's your number 5, or what's your next one?
So I had wrote down binos, but I don't know that would necessarily be number 5, just because if I'm hunting the timber over here on the west side, I can't see further than 50 yards.
Right.
Usually. So, I mean, I'm taking good binos with me, but I don't know if that's number 5.
I'd say it depends on where you're hunting.
Yeah. Now, if I go somewhere where I'm going to be able to spend time behind glass or have an opportunity to glass quite a bit, then yeah. But, or like when we spring bear hunt over here, and we're just looking at clear cuts,
you need good glass.
I would never not go without good glass. It's just terrible. So,
right. I bring my binoculars with me on every hunt, but depends. I mean, if you are hunting an area where you can glass, good glass is a must. You need a good set of binoculars or a good spotting scope, and I use Vortex. It's not. I'm saying you need good stuff. I use the cheap binoculars that are way too big for my bino harness. I get made fun of quite a bit for
I don't understand why you haven't done that yet.
Because I don't want to spend $1,000 on binos, but I really should. But I use the 10x50 Diamondbacks. They're a pretty cheap model, but they're good enough to where I can still pick stuff out pretty darn far. I mean, if I had a better pair of binos, I might be able to have a little bit more success with them, but I'm plenty effective with the binos that I have, and that's why I haven't. And I've always got something else higher on the priority list to get or buy than binos. But honestly, if you're hunting Eastern Oregon or you're hunting an old burn where you can glass across canyons or something like that, or you're, like you're saying, spring bear hunting and you're glassing units all day, then yeah, you need a good set of glass. These $50 Bushnells probably aren't going to cut it if you're glassing farther than 300 yards.
Yeah.
Straight up. The Vortexes are pretty heavy, though, the Diamondbacks. That's the one downside of the ones that I have, is that they're pretty darn heavy, and you really do start seeing the lack of quality past 400 yards, 500 yards.
I run the Viper HDs from Vortex.
Those are good binos.
Yeah, so I've been happy with them. That's what I run for a spotting scope also. The one thing I've noticed about the spotting scope, I mean, it's great, crystal clear. Even when you zoom all the way in, it stays clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I've never screwed around with too much other stuff, but if it's low light and you have to zoom in all the way, it doesn't draw very much light.
I noticed that because when we compared yours, granted mine has a 30 millimeter eyepiece with a 80, I think, objective lens. It's huge, and it gathered a little bit more light than yours, but yours was definitely more easier to use than my Leupold SX2 Kenai, which I would not suggest buying for $1,200.
Yeah, I'm happy with mine. I mean, but that's just one downfall I've noticed.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking like it almost wouldn't matter, because when you cross that line with it, if you're all the way zoomed in, you're probably looking at over 1,000 yards, and we're talking like the last half hour of light. So it's not going to make or break you anyways, because you're not going to do anything with that
distance.
So very small setback compared to how happy I am with it.
So when I talk about binos, I should also say that I include with harness.
Yeah, but your harness is horrible.
It's a great harness, but it's like 6 sizes too small for my binoculars.
We should go buy you a new one.
Even the guy from FHF is like, either buy new binoculars or buy our bigger harness. Like you look ridiculous.
I bought a new harness yesterday.
What'd you get?
I went with the Badlands just because I went in there and looked at a bunch of different ones, and I really did not care about which brand.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted it to fit them good, and I wanted magnet close. I didn't want zipper or the drawstring.
Yeah, I like the drawstring.
I like the magnets. It's just, and it makes a better seal, I feel like. So it keeps, if it's raining, it'll keep moisture out of there hopefully better. But I landed on the Badlands. Just, it fit me best. I went in, and I found all the ones that would fit my binos.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started trying them on, and it just fit me the best. So that's what I ended up with. Because who cares that it's not, Alaska Guide gear.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not saying that's a bad harness at all, but if it doesn't fit me right, it doesn't matter just because it says a name on it. I don't care.
Right. The top ones I can think of are FHF, the Marsupial, the Alaska ones you just said.
Yeah, Alaska Guide gear.
Badlands has good ones. So just pick which one you want, and hopefully you can go to a shop where you can shoot your bow with it on, because I know some guys that the string will catch their bino harness.
And that was another thing. So, like the FHF one, Shelby has that one.
Mm-hmm.
But with me shooting a recurve, I am 99%, just the way my form is different compared to someone shooting a compound. I'm almost positive my string would catch that thing.
Really?
Yeah. So just because it has the outer pockets and stuff, it's got a little more bulk to it. And like I said, nothing against them. I mean, that's just their design, and I own one. Shelby is running one of those. So I'm not saying don't get those. I'm just saying if you can, try them on. Just kind of go play with them. I mean,
right.
I would have probably bought that Alaska Guide gear one offline if I wouldn't have gone in and tried them on.
Right.
So if you have the chance to try stuff like that on, always do it. That's the same reason like Kifaru packs, I've always wanted to, not that I'm not happy with my Everly stock, but when I replace it, it won't be with another one.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Kifarus, I can't try them on. There's nowhere around here that has them.
Right.
So it's going to be hard to want to buy one when I can't. I don't want to spend $900 and get it and be like, this thing does not fit me.
Well, the thing with the EXO is that you could try one on if you go to the Full Draw Film Tour, or you go to one of these shoots around here. I guarantee you can probably try one on. So, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of these guys, like the first light, you can't try them on. So if you're just getting into buying their stuff, I guarantee you're probably going to buy something too small. Or something like, the sizing charts for some of these companies, I don't know who did their sizing, but a lot of it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm a medium. Medium fits me perfectly, but there's some other guys that are medium, like a little bigger medium, or a little lankier, and it just doesn't match them. But with the getting back to the packs, you can actually adjust those to your height. You can adjust those to your body size and everything, and it just really makes a bigger difference. Like, I'm the small waist belt on a 32-inch waist, I believe, on the XO. And, man, those things are nice. I mean, if I was going to go buy another pack, it'd either be an XO or a Kifaru, just because I trust who's making it. They got way too much behind them, backing them. I mean, you got two good companies there. But so, bino harnesses with harness, that's number 6, I believe. Or no, 5. So what is number 6 for you? Or the next one on your list?
I would say a water filter.
A water filter.
Yeah.
So you're going backcountry
needs.
Even
Even if you're only 3 miles in there, I'm not going to carry a gallon and a half of water with me
Yeah.
on me. So
Mitch will roll the dice out of the smallest running creek you've ever seen.
with a water filter, I will.
Well, yeah, with a water filter, he's just putting his water bottle in it and then
Nope, not me. A good water filter doesn't cost you very much money.
$20-$30.
Yeah, I think mine cost like $25.
Yeah, I got that straw one.
Yeah, so mine comes from that same company, Sawyer or whatever it is. Sawyer, I think is what it is.
I don't remember. I think that's probably right, though.
But I think it was last year, me and Ryan were back there,
Mm-hmm.
and we couldn't find water. So we're like, okay, whatever. Well, we finally found water, and there was some free-range cattle. So
Ew.
it is like barely a trickle. Like you're having to dig to make it deep enough to where you can lay the bag in it.
Seriously?
Yeah, but it was 100 degrees. You know, I'm thirsty, so
I drink my own piss before I did that.
So we're filtering water, and you can bleep this out if you want. Ryan is like 40 yards to my right,
That's
and
gross.
we're trying to filter water, and I hear him go, "There's literal shit in this water," and I look, and a cow had taken a dump right in the stream, and he's right below it trying to filter water. Well, we filtered it, and it came out crystal clear. Neither one of us got sick.
Did it taste good?
Had a little bit of weird taste to it.
Tasted kind of shitty.
No, but we got 2-3 bottles of water out of that. So without that filter, what's that? Almost 50 ounces of water we wouldn't have had. So
I use the I think they call it the SteriPen, right? Or the SteriPen. It's a thing that you can even use it on a water bottle. You can drink straight from the straw thing. It's really cool. They sell it at Waldron's. I'm sure that's where you got yours.
Mine is like a little filter with a bag, and you can just squeeze that straight in your mouth if you wanted to.
I think mine's but you can also attach it to a water bottle.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we got the same one then.
So I'm going to replace it this year just because I didn't clean it last year, and I stored it for 6 months.
Yeah.
So for
probably growing some new disease in there.
Yeah, for under $30, I'll just buy a new one.
Probably like gonorrhea
Oh, guaranteed. So water filter is way up there on my list.
So, yeah, that's a good one. I don't think did I have that one on here?
Nope, you're gonna die.
You got one that I have a water bladder, but that's under convenience items.
But that doesn't matter if
you run out of water.
Yeah.
You're like that guy off of Dodgeball because it's sterile and I like the taste.
Yeah. Dude, when it's 100 degrees and you have no water.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like, it was. I had to forget where the water came from to drink it, but I knew it was safe to drink. So, I was really trusting that water filter to make it safe to drink.
Right. Well, shout out to Sawyer's filtration because you guys didn't get sick, so that's good.
Yeah, drinking literal poop water, and we made it. Although I've seen Bear Grylls squeeze poop and drink that.
Really?
So
that's gross.
Well, on TV, I've never seen it in person.
So mine would be knives.
That's way up on my list. That's probably what I'd say next.
I'm not gonna say I'm a knife connoisseur or knife Nazi, but I've been using the same knife or style of knife for years and years and years, and I have so many extra old blades of it. But I use the Outdoor Edge, which is a replaceable knife one, and I've been using that. And I carry a sharpener with me. I carry a couple, 3 or 4 extra blades, and I can sharpen that thing because I think it's pretty cheap steel. Let's probably be honest. They do keep their edge for a little while, but if you're going to do an elk, you're going to need a couple of them. So I just have that little sharpener, and granted, I'm putting it in joints and stuff. I'm jarring it in places where it probably shouldn't be, scraping bone with it, but that sharpener brings it back within 20 seconds, and I'm good to go. And then if I do get tired or if I don't have my sharpener, I have those extra ones there, and I can just switch them out pretty quick. But those are the knives I use. One thing that I really do use, and I don't really see a lot of other guys carrying them, is flay knives.
Yeah.
I always carry a flay knife, and I always carry a bone saw. I use flay knives because it's so easy to get in places rather than using a hard fixed edge. Having something that can bend around stuff and getting that all the meat. Like especially the back straps. I like using a flay knife on the back straps. It makes it so quick and easy. It's just a good set of knives, man. I mean, that's really all it is. So what about you?
Yeah, I run the Outdoor Edge also. I can't find it here recently, but
Really?
it's there somewhere. But that is what I use. And then last year I got just a buck knife, like the actual brand buck knife, and it's just a fixed blade knife. But I was really happy with that thing. It's super sharp, and on my dad's elk, we used that knife the entire time.
Really?
And never once had to touch it up.
Hmm.
So now I don't have a ton of experience with knives, just because I've mostly just used that outdoor edge, but that is probably the only knife I've ever seen that can do an entire elk and not have to be touched once. So, and that's the same thing. That is scraping bone, doing everything.
Right.
And it was still pretty sharp when we were done.
I'd like to try that new Altitude by Benchmade.
Yeah, I just don't like the price point.
It is expensive.
So that's my hang up on that. So
Yeah.
I've got this outdoor edge that I like a lot. That's $50.
Right. Less than that.
Yeah, and say it might even be less.
35. I think
And
was
then
last time I
that
saw
buck knife was right around that $40-$50 mark, and it has proven itself now too. And it's like,
I've got a few buck knives, and I had one when I was about 17, and my uncle gave it to me, and I think it was called a jackknife.
yeah, I don't know which model this one is.
Belt hook on the back of the knife, like on the handle. You could hook it on your belt. One of the sharpest knives that held its edge, and I don't even think it was that expensive, and I lost it, you know me, and haven't ever been able to find another one. But that was a really good knife. So if anybody knows where they can find one, let me know.
Yeah, I don't know which model mine is, but
yeah,
it stays in the pack now.
So knives are huge. Do you carry a fillet knife with you, or bone saw, or anything like that?
I have a bone saw. So I'll have a bone saw, and then that outdoor edge is pretty much all I used to carry. And now that buck knife will be in there. So, and then usually I carry something to sharpen it, even if it's just a little one. Might not make it back to normal, but it's better than nothing. So.
What about, so we're talking knives, what kind of, and I know because you and I have hunted together, what kind of method do you prefer for the actual field dressing and quartering out and stuff like that?
Well, it depends what you're doing. Like on Shelby's, I just quartered it. I didn't take it off the bone. But I was also fighting time on that because we were separated, so it was just me and her, and that thing died right in just the worst spot. It was completely in the sun.
Right.
It was probably
it
was probably what, high 80s that day.
We were in a timber stand, but you found the only patch of non-timber in that whole timber stand.
So I was looking at, I'm gonna have to pack this thing out by myself, and I didn't want to lose any meat, and it was getting hot, and it was getting hot quick, and flies were showing up. So I was really racing time on that thing, I felt like. So I just quartered that one. But normally I'd say take it off the bone, just because you get it away from the bone, which is going to help cool it.
Right.
Plus, elk legs aren't light, so if that's more weight you can get off of it, the better.
What about the gutless method?
Yeah, use that.
I love that.
I don't see why you'd gut it. There's really no need to.
I'm trying to think of the last animal that I actually gutted.
Last one I gutted was
I know mine. Yeah.
Beatty's Butte with
a few years ago.
Yeah, that's probably 5 years ago. But
same here.
I shot it standing 2 feet away from the four-wheeler. Oh. So I gutted it and threw it on the four-wheeler.
Okay.
So that's a lot different situation. But
I was on a youth hunt, and I think we ended up gutting that one. I don't know why. I don't know. No, it's because I wanted to show the kid how to gut. He'd never gut. And so I literally told him, start, and I'll help you where you need to go. It was Dustin Parker's little brother. And showed him how to gut an elk, pretty much. I mean, and that was just a learning experience for him. I probably should have showed him the gutless method, though. That probably would have been better. But, yeah, the gutless method, my dad was against the gutless method for a while because he's like, how are you getting the tenderloins? You're not getting the tenderloins. I'm like, you can get the tenderloins. I did a video on it.
I almost forgot Shelby's bulls last year.
Yeah.
Because I got in such a hurry, and then by the time you guys showed up, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Breaking a bull down by yourself is no joke. I mean, Shelby was trying to help me hold the legs and stuff, but she just couldn't help as much as another full-grown man,
Right.
I mean, that's just obvious, but not that she wasn't trying, but it's like by the time you guys found us, I was freaking beat.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even started packing yet.
I know. We should have waited like another hour until you got at least a couple quarters back to the truck.
Well, I think I was getting ready to leave for the first time when you guys showed up.
Yeah.
So.
You ran out of flagging too, because we were trying to find you.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah.
So that is next on my list.
Mine too. Well, yeah, mine too.
Ribbon.
Ribbon and flagging. I'm notorious for as soon as I shoot, I either leave something there or I flag it. So I know where I shot from, and then I'll flag exactly where the animal was standing. And then I flag every drop of blood that needed to see literally a visual of what that animal's doing through the timber. So you can just visually see where the ribbon's going, what trail he may be going towards. It's really easy to see when you have that stuff, the ribbon out there on a blood trail. If you're having to track, it makes your job way easier. I mean, I'm a really, really visual person. It just literally, you can follow the ribbon and see where that thing's going to go. Yep. So ribbon is huge, and especially at night, if you're having to pack some or walk somebody in there, I'll flag my way in, I'll flag my way out, whatever it may be. Ribbon is really huge.
Yeah, I think about 4 years ago, I shot a bull that I was with Ryan, and we were hunting with Chase and Bryson, and I think Wyatt was there. But anyways, we were running as 2 separate groups, and me and Ryan got on this herd, and that's funny is when Chase dropped us off, we had never been in there. We hunted this area for a long time, but we'd never been in this drainage, and it was big, and he dropped us off for the evening. He was going to come pick us up, and when he dropped us off, he goes, "All right, guys, don't get lost." And we both made stupid comments, like, "I don't get lost." And Ryan's like, "Well, I'm a homing pigeon. Don't worry about us." So we get into elk right away.
Really?
But it wasn't like through calling or anything. We just kind of bumped them. Well, this herd was huge. So we would get busted, but there were so many elk. If 2 cows busted us, they would just group up with 50 other elk, and the other elk wouldn't know what was going on, so they'd just relax. So anyways, we ended up chasing these elk just up, down, sideways, miles. And we started at like 1 o'clock, and I ended up shooting that bull right before dark. And we started, tied some ribbon off and stuff. And I looked at Ryan and I go, "Do you know where we are?" And he looked back at me and he goes, "I was really hoping you did because I have no idea."
Oh, shoot.
So ribbon, it was like solid streamers leaving there because we had no idea where we were going. So we were going out to get chasing them, but it's like, if we don't have a clear way to get back in here, we don't even know where we're at. So we're not going to know how to get back here probably just on our own. We didn't have a GPS at the time. So ribbon played a huge part of that. Yeah. Because they were making fun of us on the way in. They're like, "You guys afraid or what?" Because, it would be 30-foot sections of just solid ribbon. And then we would wait 40 yards and then do it again. But it's like, we didn't know where we were going. Right. So
it's important. And it's something that's easy to not pack.
Yeah. Really. Like with you saying, I ran out of ribbon that day. She shot her bull. I was marking that for you guys and for me because I'd never been in there, so I didn't want to get to the truck. I knew where the truck was, but I didn't want to not be able to find my way back into it.
Right. So everything kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
So ribbon is huge, and I take 2 rolls.
There's 4 rolls in my bag right now.
Because I ran out. Really doesn't go very far.
No, I ran out last year, so there's 4 in there now. And they're like,
they're not.
You don't have to go buy the Mossy Oak brand stuff. That's like, it's still not expensive, but it's like $5 a roll. Nope. I go to Bimart and get the construction stuff. It's the same stuff, and it's like 97 cents.
Yeah. And I know some guys that carry glow sticks.
I've heard of that. I've never done it.
Yeah, if you think you're going to kill one at night, that'd be good for bear season, for spring bear. So when you're packing out, because it's like at dark. Granted, you're probably killing it in a unit anyways, but so ribbon and flagging, we got knives. I got first aid and fire stuff on mine. Did you have that one?
I did not. I'll just use the moss.
Because you're not a safe hunter.
Yeah. I'll just use the moss from a tree and clot the wound.
There you go. Your belt is a whatever, the tourniquet.
Tourniquet. So
first aid, I just I don't even have like the born and raised guys do. Like, I can't sew anybody up. But I do have bandages and gauze pads, and I think I carry in mine that wrap stuff, like that stretchy stuff you'd put over like a sprained ankle. And I also carry a little bit like a whistle, a compass, and a
carry a rape whistle.
A rape whistle, yeah.
Help me.
and a few matches and stuff like that. And the stuff that's like, if you fart on it, it would start on fire. It's whatever.
That's just the woods in September.
Yeah, right. But you could have that freak storm, and we've been snowed on and stuff. So
we've been snowed on plenty of times.
Yeah,
it'll be 95 degrees, and then a day and a half later,
Boom.
there's snow on the ground, and you're freezing cold.
Exactly. So you never know. I mean, I carry that stuff in my pack, and next would probably be I always carry elk stuff, bugle and reeds and stuff like
calls
that.
and stuff.
What's something else that you carry that's a must-have?
Game bags.
I have that on my list.
And
meat sacks as well.
Yeah, now I'm not running like the $100 Kuiu bag, but I buy better bags.
Yeah. I've used pillowcases.
Yeah, I mean even that's it's gonna keep it clean.
Yeah.
The problem and I've ran like canvas bags, which I liked them, and it's great if you're gonna be hunting when it's cold. But the problem with those thick canvas ones is the meat won't breathe.
Right.
So if it's hot, you're gonna run into issues. So you want one that can breathe, but that's gonna keep everything off of it.
Right.
Especially flies and bees and stuff.
Yeah.
So, because those flies are on it when it's hot. I mean,
almost immediately.
Yeah, it's within minutes.
Fast.
It seems like. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I carry the cheaper, like the Bi-Mart ones, the ones that are pretty breathable. But I also carry a couple thicker ones like pillowcases, maybe for the back straps and stuff, like all the little scraps and meats and the flanks and stuff like that. And typically we're taking it straight back to the truck. We're not hanging it overnight. Like I've never left. I left one elk overnight. It was fine the next morning. It was actually one of the best eating elk I've ever had. We gutted it and everything, and got most of the skin off of it, and left a couple shirts around it. But it was like absolute winter storm came in. It was a late season rifle tag, and anyways, that meat was still good and everything. But when I'm taking these pillowcases, I'm not hanging it in these pillowcases. I don't want people to think that I'm doing that, because that's a good way to build mold. Get just bad meat, really, is what it is. And we're putting it in a cooler or on ice as fast as possible, really. But if I did have to put it in a creek, I'd put it in like I've heard some guys putting it in garbage bags in creeks, dumping it in creeks to keep the meat cool, or stuff like that. So, and I do want to keep my bag cool, so I'm thinking about bringing garbage bags to keep my exo clean from all the stink from the meat. That's just because typically we're still hunting after we get done packing that back out.
Yeah. Does yours unzip from the frame?
Mine does.
Okay. So,
yes.
So does mine, because last year, by the last animal I packed out, which was my dad's elk in December, and that bag was soaked all day. Then it got bloody, dirty, just gross. Plus, I hadn't cleaned it from all the other animals last year. That bag reeked.
Yeah.
So I had to take it off the frame and wash it probably 5 times before it smelled normal again. But
yeah, I think having a clean bag that smells normal is important. I mean, you're out there, you're doing all this stuff, wearing the nice camo, trying to keep your scent down, all this other stuff, but then you have what smells like a dead animal in your bag. That almost counterintuitive.
Wolves, dude, that's what I'm worried about.
Wolves. Well, that's becoming a concern.
Yeah. So, you saying scent control?
Mm-hmm.
I don't do anything with scent control. I care less, because I'm sweaty, smell like it's just gross.
Same here.
Wind checkers.
I didn't have that. You son of a gun.
See?
I'm writing that one down.
Professional.
So wind checker, I go
check
through,
the wind
yeah.
every 40 yards I move, because
yeah.
it freaking, and people make fun of me.
I'm the same way.
But I will take 20 steps and check the wind, because you can do whatever you want. You will never get an elk or deer to not trust his nose. You can be wearing the fanciest camo and get him to look at you once and go, well, maybe not. But if he smells you,
game over.
It's game over every time.
Game over. I think you and I are probably identical on that one, because when you and I were stalking that bull that was bugling, and then Mitch and Shelby were hanging back, you and I both pretty much had our bow in our left hand and our wind checker in our right, and it was like almost a competition to see who could blow more wind checker.
Yeah, because
it's really important.
It takes 2 seconds, and then you might just have to walk 100 yards to your right, but that will save it. Or you could just try to ignore it and hope for the best. Well, it's not going to work, or it could, because the wind could be in your favor, but if you're not checking it, you'll never know.
Are you as cheap as I am where you've actually put like flour in your wind checker?
Wind checker's like $3.
I know, but I'm so cheap on I'll spend $1,600 on a bow, but I refuse to replace my wind checker.
I just bought a couple the other day.
Oh man. But it's funny because when you use flour, it like wads up on leaves and stuff. Looks like you're like a cocaine addict out in the woods.
I like that what is it, smoke in a bottle?
Yeah, the juniper one. I got that one.
That's been some of the best. It just
Where is mine?
Really light and just floats away. I've tried like the Primo's one.
Yeah.
And it's probably like you using flour. When it comes out, it just like and
just goes everywhere.
Okay. Now
So
I'm covered in wind checker.
I go through a lot, and I'm guilty. Like I will use 3 or 4 puffs if I don't get the correct reading.
Mm-hmm.
I will repuff it to make my thing is it's funny because if I repuff it, maybe I can get the wind to do what I want if I puff it enough times.
See, and we've done things like, and using a wind checker, I've seen it. We've walked straight at elk with the wind on our back, but it feels terrible, but when you check it, it's actually going up and hard right.
It drifts, yeah.
So, okay, you're walking straight at this elk, and the wind's directly on your back, but the wind's not actually going that way. It's coming, it's going straight up.
Right.
And we've done that before and been fine, never got winded. And it feels like if you're just trusting what you can feel,
right,
it feels like it's blowing right at them. Well, it's not.
Right.
So.
That's really important. Something that really does drift, and that like some of the stuff I use, if I get a really good poof, I can see it for 20 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just drifting, and it gets higher and higher, but you can still see what it's doing.
Yeah.
So wind checker, man, I should have written that one down. And I carry that every time I go out in the woods. Another one I have is, obviously elk calls and stuff like that, is headlamp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You didn't have that, did you?
No, I have 2 in my bag with extra batteries, but I did not write that down.
Oh. Well, that's the difference between being a professional.
Yeah.
So you and I have both used phones on the way out with flashlights.
What was that, my bear last year?
Yeah.
That was
a nightmare.
Neither one of us were prepared to shoot anything.
That was the worst short pack I've ever had. A 100-yard pack.
I didn't say it was like 100, 120 yards, and it took like an hour.
Yeah. I shredded my camo, by the way.
Oh, because I was wearing Kuyu that day.
Yeah.
It was
blackberry
destroyed
galore.
by the time we got done.
It would have to be a huge.
And I was bleeding. My hands were just shredded.
Yeah. And you lost your wedding ring.
Yeah, which I found a month later.
You did? Oh, yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Needle and haystack.
So what are some convenience items or something that it's just more something that you like to carry along, but if you don't remember, it's not a big deal?
So I don't know if it 100% falls in this category, because you could carry like sandwiches and stuff like that, but I take my stove with me, little backpacking stove.
Like a jet boil thing?
That tight, but it's not jet boil.
Okay.
So, and then I'll just throw in like 1 or 2 mountain houses.
Really?
Because then you're way lighter and you're eating without having to. I mean, no one wants to eat a sandwich that's been sitting in a 100-degree bag for 10 hours.
Yeah. You're going to laugh at me because I have, for food on here, convenience items, SpaghettiOs with energy drink.
Oh, my God.
Me and Mitch kind of have this thing where we will sit down and eat a can of SpaghettiOs, maybe a ho-ho, and an energy drink.
Yeah, nothing like making your body run hard all day and then treating it like garbage.
Right. I'm getting better on my meal prep game. One year, I think I talked about this on the podcast already, but I'm very unconscious when it comes to, or what would be the best word, unconscious? Very not aware of eating bad food. Like I will let like pizza sit out overnight in the fridge, and then I'll eat it the next day, and then wonder why I got sick. So one day Mitch pointed that out to me because I was eating something I wasn't supposed to be eating. He's like, dude, you're going to get sick from that. You wonder why you always get sick? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that right there. I'm like, oh, maybe he's onto something. And you know what? I haven't been getting sick as much. But long story short, I had stew meat, venison, and noodles. I don't know if you guys had already left camp yet, but I had venison and noodles. I'm like, dude, I'm going to have this out there, and it's going to be so good. I was telling him how good it was going to be. He's like, you're carrying around cooked meat in 80-degree weather for how many hours in your pack? He's like, you're going to get sick. Yep. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I was crapping my brains out later that day. So I do need to get better on the meal prep game.
We used to go and go over and you know, at camp we'd drink beer and stuff, you know, and then go hunting the next day, and not like drink to like
Excess.
yeah, we weren't like binge drinking or anything, but you know, drink beer and stuff. Well, you're asking a lot out of your body in the first place, especially the way we hunt. You're pushing yourself just to be there. Well, if you go back to camp and treat it like garbage, you know, with beer and horrible food for you. Not that, and I'm not saying I only eat Mountain Houses, and they're not really that good for you. Mountain Houses aren't. Like they're full of salt and.
I love salt.
But for convenience, they're fine. But I tell you what, I've lived off Mountain House for like 4 or 5 days at a time. You feel it by the end of it.
Really?
Oh, and you stink. Like, dude, I mean, you could wake up a funeral home. So, so I mean, that just is just a product of what you're putting inside your body there. So, the cleanest I eat and drink is probably during hunting season. I've been trying to get better just throughout the year, anyways. But the best I eat is probably then. But I also don't eat very much. I'm really weird. So
same here.
I'm a fat kid when it comes to at home. Like if I buy a thing of cookies, it lasts 2 days. You know, I'll drink chocolate milk and stuff. And I'll snack throughout the day. But when I'm hunting, I'll eat like once a day. I don't know what it is. I just don't get hungry. I think it's because I'm too focused on what I'm doing to really care to stop to eat. But most of the time I'll eat maybe once a day.
Really?
And not even feel hungry. Usually. Sometimes I get starving, but.
So food that's probably a must-have. I mean, you really should carry food out there. But, you know, for the stuff that we're doing, I can get away with the SpaghettiOs. But really, I'm not fueling my body like I should be. So that's something I will be investing in better this year. Maybe I do need to get like a jet boil or something like that.
I wouldn't buy a jet boil.
No,
they're anti-hunting company.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, sons of guns.
Yeah, that's why I don't own one. And you can get something that's the same thing for way cheaper.
Really?
Mine is just this little platform that you screw the fuel to.
Are they really anti-hunting?
That's what I've been told.
You sons of guns.
So.
You heard it first.
Yep. There you go. And I'm probably wrong, and I'll probably get an email from JetBill.
Just
going,
like Yeti being anti-NRA, that's not really true from what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite the fiasco.
That was silly.
But, yeah, it's just this little platform deal that the fuel screws to, so you're going to have to carry fuel with you anyways. So that doesn't take up any more space, and this thing is the size of my hand and, 3/4 of an inch tall. So it's lighter and takes up less room. So,
yeah.
But then you do have to carry something to boil water in. I just use one of those little blue, it's a blue cup, but it's like what's that material? It's blue. It's got the white speckles in it. It's like the old-time camping gear stuff.
I have no idea.
Okay, I can't remember the brand, but I can see it. But anyways, I just use that to boil the water in. So.
Okay. Well, what's a convenience item for you?
All these things. No.
I have this thing right here. It's a retractable. It's a Nikon retractable, like rangefinder holder. So it has this retractable string, and then I don't know if you can hear it. There. And it's pretty strong. It's strong enough to pull my rangefinder back up into itself. And so I was thinking about using this for my bugle this year because those Unleashed tubes are pretty big. And I was going to attach this to my pack and then just have my bugle hanging off my retractable cord thing. I do use it for my rangefinder. It is super handy just letting go of your rangefinder and saving that extra second rather than have to put it away.
How many times I've just dropped mine? Not the new one because it's still new. But
this is definitely a convenience item, and I really do like it. I mean, you can feel how strong that cord is. It's pretty strong, the spring in there.
Yeah. Paracord. I carry that stuff, which you would survive with that. Well, I guess it could help you, but, tying stuff up or...
I carry D-loop and serving with me.
Oh, wheel guys.
So paracord, that's a good one. Another one is the reed quiver. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't have one, but I also don't lose reeds.
I do. I went through 6 one year, and I had to go back and buy more. Yeah, like an hour out of I don't know. It's probably more like an hour and a half out of where we were hunting, and we had to stop and get me more reeds. I went through at least 6. I went through 1 last year because I blew it out in 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah,
and then I moved on to the next one.
I used 2 reeds last year, and I didn't lose the first one. It just, they separate, and because the glue can only stand so much.
Yeah, but the reed quiver, man, I really like that. You look kind of like a dork having it on your hat, and I understand that, but it's something that I'm willing to look dorky with, because just not having to carry it in your mouth, and then you can just shove it in your hat real quick. It's hands-free almost. It's so easy, and they're pretty cheap. They're just, reed quiver. Just Google it. It's pretty cool little piece of gear. I had string and rope on mine. I have a recharger for my phone. It's like a little battery pack that carries an extra charge. Some guys are using the the Black Energy, or the what's it called? Is it Dark Mountain?
I think that's coffee.
Coffee. It's some sort of
rechargeable
item. Yeah, I don't drink coffee, but it's some sort of rechargeable device for your phone. And I carry my phone, which I also put down as a convenience item because it has Onyx on there. I can take pictures, video, but Onyx is huge, and we do hunt where I can use Onyx. You can use it anywhere if you use it offline too, and you save your map. I don't leave the woods without Onyx really anymore. It's such a huge item for me. Actually, it's not a must-have because I know where I'm hunting typically, but if I'm hunting a new area, it would be a must-have.
Yeah, we went to a new area last year. You have to drive through private, or you skirt it. But without Onyx, I would have never been in there.
Really?
Because you go past some houses and you're on the same road that took you straight to their house. But I would never I would have turned around. But with Onyx, we knew we were, once you get past that ways, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So, and then even once we were in there, we skirted this guy's property, and we were able to hunt around without ever being illegal. So, yeah, Onyx that would be a huge one there.
What else do you have?
Let's see. I'm running out of stuff because, like I said, I just put stuff on there that
how heavy
I'm not leaving without.
How heavy is your pack when you're out there hunting around?
I've never weighed it.
I bet mine's 30 pounds. With my spot and scope and my tripod.
If I put my spot and scope and stuff in there, it gets real heavy. But I've never weighed mine. I think the only time I've ever weighed mine was not just for a day trip.
Really?
So, because all these things you're saying I'm not going without. Well, if your pack comes in 8 pounds over what you wanted, what are you going to take out?
Right. Spot and scope, tripod.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also carrying camera gear, but that doesn't count because that's not normal for most folks.
And that comes back to.
That's a convenience. Well, it's not even a convenience. That's a must-have for me because I have to get that footage anymore. It's like if I don't carry a camera, I'm not near as excited. I want to capture it on film anymore. It's so important to me. Like, I don't even come out with fancy hunting videos. I just want to, like, that blue wildebeest. I can go back and relive that.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. And it really helped us this year on that bear I shot in April or May or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm. Being able to relook at the footage.
We thought I missed.
Yeah.
100%. You missed. And then even just on the small screen, it's like, uh-oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
And then we went and looked and then go home and pull it up on a big screen. And it's like, that was actually a pretty good hit.
Yeah.
So.
Dead bear.
If that would not have been filmed.
We wouldn't have known.
We would have never known. I still would have gone down there.
Right. You did do the right thing.
But I would have gave up quicker, because no blood, no nothing, and thinking you missed and having nothing to prove to you that you didn't miss.
Yeah. We shot that thing in a hellhole and went back down in the next day. Which is the right thing to do. But that just speaks volumes of character to me.
Yeah, that was horrible down there.
Yeah.
Getting down there wasn't so bad.
Getting back out's bad, though.
Yeah, it was getting out of there.
So one thing I have written down here in the non-category is pistol, sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
I carry, because I'm not much of a pistol guy, I have a black powder 44 6-cylinder, but I don't take that out with me. But I would be such a badass if I did. I should just one day just bring a black powder pistol with me. But I have a Kim's 380 Walther PK 380.
That's cute.
It's it's pretty cute. I can rack it with my finger, just 2 fingers. I can rack the slide really easily. And that's just because I'm not gonna go out and buy something. I mean, like I said, I'm cheap on some things when I shouldn't be. Maybe a pistol's one of them, but I carry that thing with me when I go out. Pretty much all the time, I carry the pistol with me. And it's just a 380 with rip rounds, so it's probably not even the right round. You probably want something that gets better penetration.
Yeah, no. So for an animal, you're gonna want to use a full metal jacket because it goes in further. So when I do carry one, it's my Glock 40, or it's a 23, but it's a 40.
Yeah.
So
I like that caliber a lot.
Yeah. I like the gun, but I'm gonna stick with Glock, but I'm gonna go to their. I think it's might be the Glock 10. Anyways, it's a 9mm, but it's a single stack mag.
Oh.
So it's a lot lighter, thinner. Because that's the only thing I don't like about mine is it's not really designed to be packed like that for hunting, so it's kind of heavy.
Yeah.
So I do want to go something a little lighter, but that's what I'll carry if I am carrying one. Which for this coming hunting season, I'll be for sure carrying one again. Because we'll be in wolf country.
Yeah.
And those things scare me.
They do?
Yeah.
Well, I've never ran into one. I wouldn't know.
So I've hunted near them. I've cut their tracks. The other guys we were with heard them. We never did actually lay eyes on them. But for me, it was playing a factor. Like, I did not want to be not to the truck by dark.
Really?
Because those things, I don't care what any biologist is going to tell you. They kill for fun. And now I understand I don't think there's been a single attack in Oregon from a wolf yet.
There's been guys that have been followed and stalked by them.
Yeah,
I've seen the videos.
That's the thing. If they decide to kill you, which, I mean, a bear and a cougar will do it too. I mean, if a cougar decides it's killing you, it's going to kill you.
Cougar killed a guy the other day.
Yeah, it's going to kill you. I mean, we are nowhere near the predator. I mean, you take weapons out of it, we're useless.
Yeah.
So, but a pack of wolves, if they decide to come after you, what are you going to do?
Climb a tree.
That's about your only chance. So, last time we hunted in wolf country, me and Ryan got caught out after dark. We're 4 or 5 miles from the pickup, and we were walking through. Even once we hit the road, we're walking, and that was in my mind the entire time.
Really?
Yeah.
Is where we're going elk hunting this year for Shelby's tag? Is there wolves over there?
Oh yeah.
Oh great.
Quite a few of them. That's what I'm saying, especially because I want to be packing a bow. I might carry 2 pistols.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my 380 will do the job.
No, I'll just shoot you in the foot and run.
Right. So. I carry a gun honestly for the 2-legged predators out there. I think there's more risk from fellow.
I trust a wolf more than I trust a person.
Yeah, me too. I've just seen too many circumstances, too many instances, and I have had a few altercations in the woods that I wish I would have had something to protect myself some.
I've ran into jerks into the woods, and
last year I did.
People are not everybody, but obviously,
right.
There's a lot of not good people out there.
Right.
Especially in my line of work, I see it all the time. There's a lot of not good they would steal your gas and leave you stranded 400 miles away from nothing just because
and then puncture your tires.
Because they want to save $15.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that type of people out there. So, of course, there's also a lot of good people out there too, but.
Well, every year you hear about guys trying to steal other guys' elk too.
Yeah.
Elk racks or the actual kill or whatever it may be. There's more risk, I believe, from fellow man than there is the actual nature's predators.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So that's my main concern for killing, because, I mean, I just don't trust them. I'm with you. I trust the animals more than I do guys I don't know, especially during, and not the gun guys or more, but when I rifle hunt, I am way more high alert. I ribbon my antlers. I ribbon my pack when we get something down. Like, I do not want to get shot on accident. And every year you hear about some guy probably wearing Carhartts that gets shot by another elk hunter or something like that. It's like, come on, guys. So a little off topic there, but very, very valid point is you should carry protection with you in the woods. It's not that you're not, masculine and guys are like, oh, you're a big, vajayjay carrying a gun. You need a gun out there. It's like, well, if you know how strong a 100-pound cub or a 80-pound cub or a
80-pound
small
cub
bear,
would rip your face off.
it's not the same muscle. You're going against something that could easily overtake you, even a small bear or even a 2-year-old cougar. I mean, you're dead.
Yep.
So
that's why I said, if a cougar decides it's going to kill you,
yeah.
If you took weapons out of it,
mm-hmm.
you stand no chance.
Yeah.
None.
What if a freaking elk decided to attack you, a bull?
I've said that. It always cracks me up how skittish they are from us. It's like if they only realized they could beat us to death with
right.
no hesitation.
Right. So there's a really big valid point there. So gets the protection. I'm the wrong guy to talk about what caliber to get, but something preferably bigger than a 380.
Yeah, well, if that's what you shoot, good.
I shoot 9mm pretty well. 40s, 45, and
if you go buy a 45, but you can't hardly hit the side of a barn because you can't handle the recoil, then it's not doing you any good.
Yeah.
But you can shoot a 9mm, great. Well, you're better off with the 9mm.
I can sure shoot a SR22 pretty well.
I think that's what John carries, just a 22 mag.
Really?
Yeah. Because small and
it's really a peace of mind.
He's right too. His theory was that if I'm using it, it's probably about point blank. So
that's true. So, all right, guys. Well, that concludes mine. So, if you have something that is not on this list, leave a message or message me. Get a hold of me if you have any questions about anything that we went over. There's quite a few guys that are looking from the guys that I talked to that listen to the podcast that are looking to get into elk hunting, maybe live over east. If you're wanting to get a complete gear guide, I guess we could put something together. The kind of what's in my pack thing. I never really thought about doing this. This is more of a priority. Because I am a gear guy and I do have to leave things in the truck that I'd like to take that just don't make sense sometimes. But if you want to have any questions on this, you can get a hold of Team Dirty Trad on Instagram, all one word. Mm-hmm. You can message me, get a hold of me. On Point Podcast with Garrett Weaver on Instagram, YouTube channel, Garrett Weaver Hunts on Gmail. Whatever you guys want to do, be happy to help you out with that, with the gear stuff there. And Anthony, do you have any closing words of wisdom?
Nope, other than... Like we said at the beginning, this is just for like a day trip. We're not talking long term.
Right.
We're not. This wasn't designed to be towards like a 5-day hunt. And I'm actually glad we did it this way because not everybody's gonna go spend 6 days out in the woods. No,
I think a lot of guys are doing what we're doing. You're hiking in, you're hiking out.
Yeah. So now, and I will backpack hunt, but if the elk are 2 miles from camp, I'm not gonna stay in there. I'm gonna go back to camp. So that's how this was geared. So and I don't think I've ever seen one that's designed towards a day trip.
A day hunter?
Yeah, it's mostly geared towards what's in here if I'm going for 6 days, 7 days, 8 days. So
yeah, well, I think you're right. I think most of them are like, what would you take on a 7-day pack hunt? And
which is great. I mean,
I'm just not the guy for that. I'd love to do it. I just don't have the experience to come out with a podcast and say this is what you need.
Yeah.
So, but all right, guys. Well, I had a great time. Thanks for coming back onto the podcast, man. You're becoming quite the regular on here.
Yep, bills are in the mail.
So, all right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. All right, guys, this episode is brought to you by Elk River Archery. Elk River Archery is owned by Chris Dunlap, who I've had on the podcast a few times. I consider him a friend now, and he's a great guy, and he is a specialist when it comes to bow tuning and arrow development. So if you have any questions or concerns with your bow and you live here in the Oregon area near Salem, give him a call. Go on Instagram. You can get his contact information on Instagram. Type in Chris Dunlap or elk_river_archery. He'll pull right up. You can get a hold of him there. He's the one that I go to for my footers now, which I absolutely love. Not only do the footers that he makes look really cool, but they really do have some actual benefits to them. If you shoot an arrow long enough, it eventually will start brooming out or getting those kind of cracks on the end. This will prevent that. This also helps strengthen the hidden insert area of if you're shooting Easton axis like I do. And then also it basically gives you a little bit more FOC. So these weigh 16 grains, the one that I'm using. So I'm just over 14% FOC now. That's really this is my favorite arrow that I've ever shot now. The FOC, the weight, the feet per second. I absolutely love my arrow setup right now, and I'm not going to change it come season. A lot of that has been with the help of Chris Dunlap developing those footers, helping me get my FOC a little bit up, and then helping me toughen up the insert side of my arrow. And he has a lot of really good information, a lot of insight, And I really want to help him grow, and he's a guy that definitely deserves to grow. He's willing to do the work, and he makes a great product. So go check out Chris Dunlap at Elk River Archery if you have a chance. And then also the second one I wanted to give a shout-out to would be Austin Kincaid from High Voltage Bowstrings. And he's based out of Portland, great guy. And the one thing I can say about him is that he is meticulous, and he has great customer service. I am very meticulous about my gear. I am absolutely on top of it. I want to make sure everything is as good as it can be, and really all I have to worry about is my end of the aspect, is executing the shot, my good shot process, all that stuff. Well, when I have Anthony's strings on there, I don't get any string twist. I've shot thousands of arrows, and I always used to, prior to going to his strings, I always used to have to twist my peep almost every shot, just a little bit. I haven't had to touch my peep in thousands of shots on my RX-1 Turbo. I trust him. I took him to Africa, drug him through the Namibian desert, drug him through the coastal range in Oregon, through the, all the pricklies and the devil's clubs and all the bushes, hunted with him over in eastern Oregon, in good weather, bad weather, just really put these strings through the ringer, and I've never had a problem. I know a lot of guys that maybe they goofed up on their end, or maybe something happened to the string and he's on top of it. He takes care of them. I've talked to him, as late as 11:30 at night to as early as you want. The guy is an amazing customer service guy. And like I said, he's making one hell of a product for a bowstring. He's the only string I'm putting on my bow right now. So really, I'm not getting paid by either of these guys, by Chris or by Austin, to do this. I'm doing it because I genuinely believe in their products. I like them as people, and I want to see them both grow. So Austin Kincaid, High Voltage Bowstrings. He can do whatever you want, whatever material you want, and he'll steer you in the right direction as well. Well, guys, that is the episode. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, Anthony from Team Dirty Trad, for coming back onto the show and talking gear. I really enjoy sitting down with Anthony. He's one of my best friends, and enjoy hunting with him. So all the banter and all the laughing is in good fun, and we're able to do that, joke around with each other in that podcast, which is awesome. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, be sure to get a hold of me, and I will be doing some drawings here coming up again. So be sure to leave those 5-star reviews, but you have to leave a comment. I had in the last week 3 or 4 people who left a 5-star review, which is amazing. That's awesome. And if you don't care about the drawings, that's totally cool. But they didn't leave comments. So if they did care about the drawings, they didn't get entered. And I'd hate to see somebody miss an opportunity that really wants to win some of these cool prizes. And I do have some even more nicer prizes coming that I'm working with, and I'm really excited to announce those here soon. So good things coming around the corner. If you've already left a review, you can actually leave another one, I believe. So you can keep getting entered in these contests. Don't feel like if you've already entered that your chance has gone by. You can re-enter in these things. So thanks for listening to this one, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.